Welcome to Topic Talks, where we talk about the topics you care about and leave out the ones you don't.
We talk about what most news sources don't. Media, movies, and the multiverse.
We even invite guests to come talk topics with us.
Come join in on the fun.
Let's get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Giant Conversation. This is Topic Talks. I'm your host, Aaron Klingesmith, and today joining me again is Lucas.
Hey, everybody, how's it going?
And then not joining us is Mark. Mark is not here.
Womp womp.
So because of the lack of Mark, we get to make fun of him as much as we want today.
That's awesome.
And he won't listen to the show, so he'll never know. That's the key, knowing that he'll never listen to the show, so you can say pretty much whatever you want to.
There you go.
So, how was your weekend or week?
I didn't do a whole ton of stuff. I had a few open houses, a few grad parties to go to for some high schoolers.
That's fun.
Free food is always...
It makes me feel old.
It does. 5 years since...
Because, like, my best friend, his youngest brother, there's 5 boys in his family. He has one older brother.
Yeah.
And there'd be 3 younger brothers.
Yeah, Trace.
Yeah. And his last younger brother, the one that I remember when his 2 youngest brothers were born.
Yeah.
His last one just graduated high school.
Oh my gosh.
I'm getting old, man.
Dude, tell me about it. It feels weird. It feels very weird to sit back and go, oh, I knew that kid as a kid.
I knew that kid as a baby.
I knew as a baby.
As a baby.
He's not a baby no more.
No, he's not. He is far from a baby.
It's no longer baby.
Well, you know who else is not a baby?
Who's not a baby?
The 17-year-old boy that got a new tattoo.
Yeah, but it's not exactly the kind he wanted, is it? I have a feeling.
I don't know if he even wanted a tattoo. So apparently, and I want your opinion on this. This isn't really a happy story, but I wanted an opinion on this.
Okay.
So this kid is accused of stealing a bike. I think it was in Spain. And the guy that's accused him of stealing it was a tattoo artist, and him and one of his buddies or something decided that they were going to tattoo on his head, I am a thief. Where is it? I just had it. I am a thief and a bad person or something like that.
But something to that effect.
Something to that effect.
A clear label that he had stolen or supposedly stolen something.
That he was a thief.
Yeah.
And so, which he denies, and his family says that he has mental health problems and he's a drug user.
Well, that doesn't help anything.
Not at all. So the police identified the men after they shared the video online of them making the tattoo.
I mean, that's some huge cojones right there. Knowing that you're literally physically assaulting somebody and you're like, I don't care.
Right.
I'm going to videotape it.
Well, and recently an online campaign has been created to help the boy remove the tattoo. The suspects are ages 27 and 29. They confessed to writing the message on the boy's head and said it was it was in Portuguese, and it says, here it is. I am a thief and a loser. That was his punishment. They tattooed that right on his forehead, and I looked at it, and it was in Portuguese, and it was huge. Like, it took up his entire forehead.
His forehead, yeah, the entire thing.
It wasn't even like a little tiny, no, it was huge.
And more importantly, it's not even like neatly done, like, because the guy was struggling the entire time. It's like, it's smudgy and like just it looks like it hurt.
It would be like a tattoo that you would go into a tattoo artist, go back and say, I want my money back.
Yeah, exactly.
No, anyway, so the police in San Bernardino have not yet confirmed that there was even an attempted robbery. The boy said he had fallen over the bike, being very drunk, but he was not trying to steal it. The 2 men caught the boy and tied his hands and feet and said they would tattoo him. The boy said, I asked them to make the tattoo on my arm, but they said it would do better, or they would do it on my forehead, and started laughing.
Yep.
That's what he told the newspaper. I begged them to break my arms and legs instead. That's a little extreme. Begging to break your arms and legs. I mean, tattoos, they can be removed.
Not very easily.
Not very easily, but I mean,
do you know it? To remove one, it's not just a one-time go.
Well, I knew that. I knew it was a several.
Yeah, and it's just as it's more expensive than to actually get a tattoo.
Right.
To get those things removed. So
yeah, but I mean,
break my freaking arm. My arm will heal.
No, he said my arms and my legs.
Okay, that's a little too far. I'd be like, or break a limb. Don't break every limb.
He said I begged them to break my arms and legs instead.
I mean,
one limb.
I can understand that though.
Right.
Because it's like, well, here. Oh, well, I got beat up and they were just really, really rough, and I broke all my body parts. But now he's got to deal with this, and if he can't get a tattoo removed, he's got "I'm a thief and a loser" tattooed on his forehead until forever, or
right.
I mean, there's no amount of makeup it's not gonna wash off.
Well, apparently there was a video, and it says in the video the boy seemed frightened.
Yeah.
and but not tied. I don't know. On a chair, but not tied. I don't know. Well, the man with the tattoo machine holds him by his hair. Oh. And the man who is filming laughing says it's going to hurt.
Yep.
This is just torture. I'm pretty sure they got arrested for torture.
Well, they should.
The boy's also had his hair cut by the suspects after he tried to hide his tattoo. The teenager's family said he has gone missing on May 31st and recognized him after seeing the video, which was uploaded on Friday. He was reunited with his family on Sunday. The online campaign that I was telling you about a few minutes ago was to help him raise money to get it removed. Raised more than $19,000, and sorry, it wasn't dollars. There's a whole conversion thing going on.
It's a lot of money.
It was a lot of money.
Basically, it's
$5,800. There it is.
In American.
Okay. Well, because they've got they got something else, and then euros. They've got dollars and then euros.
Yeah.
So they had the conversion. So I'm like, wait, that's not right. Anyway, I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, here's the thing. If the kid's a known druggie, he's known to be causing trouble, I'm not surprised someone said, "Oh, it's probably that guy." Like
it says that they supposedly caught him trying to steal it.
No, if they did, I can understand why they did it.
Over a bike.
I can say I can understand. I didn't say I condone it. Because tattooing that on somebody, well, more importantly, it's assault, and like you said, they got charged with torture.
I think they got arrested. I don't know what they got charged. It didn't say what they got charged with.
Okay, so they were arrested. So to assume it, I mean, if at least in the States, you'd be charged with assault and battery, or something akin.
What kind of battery are we talking about? 9-volt AAA.
At least a D.
Okay.
But in the States, you'd be charged, or you might. I mean, I don't even know what else you would be charged with, other than just assault. I mean, there might be some like little extra thing you could put on there because it's a physical marking as opposed to just punching somebody.
Mutilation.
Could be that. You could get charged with that. But like I said, I don't. If they caught him in the act, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where, well, you were doing something you shouldn't have done, and you screwed with the wrong people.
I wonder if this stops him from being a drunk or drug addict.
No, probably not.
No.
No.
I don't think
Are
so.
you kidding me? I mean, if being a drug addict doesn't stop you from being a drug addict, then nothing will stop you from being a drug addict.
And see, at that point, I kind of feel sorry for the kid, but on the other hand, I kind of don't, because
Same here.
Because of the lifestyle that he's choosing to live, which is, pretty much being drunk and or high 24/7. Yeah, it said he was a drug user, so he's been high 24/7. I would assume
Mm-hmm.
that, or he was high at the time. By choosing that and that kind of lifestyle, that's just what happens. I mean, people are going to say, "Oh, you tried to steal," because they know you're kind of, you're addicted to drugs. They know you're always causing trouble.
Yeah.
You're always trying to do all these weird, I don't want to say weird, all these bad things. So naturally, bad things are going to come of it.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I don't think the dude should have tattooed. Turn him into the police? Okay.
I mean, I know a lot of tattoo artists, right? They're nice guys, but they're still not the guys you screw with.
Right.
Like, I love the guy that does my tattoos. I love the other guys that have done my tattoos in the past. I wouldn't screw with them over something that's theirs, though. Because I don't care how tall or how short or big they are. They're going to try to kill you. Not kill you, but, like, they're going to rough you up.
Right.
They're going to beat you up regardless of who you are. They don't care. So, yeah, like you said before, I feel bad for the kid getting a tattoo that says I'm a thief and a loser, especially if we don't know if he did it or not. It could
and that's the thing that kind of makes me feel bad for him, is because we don't even know if he did it. It just said he was accused of it.
Yeah. These guys just like, no, you did it. I know you did it, and there's no evidence that he did it
Right,
yet,
that's why I said, okay, calling the police, like holding him there and calling the police, that's one thing.
Yeah, but these aren't the kind of guys that are going to hold him and call the police.
Right.
I mean, obviously.
But again, it's because of his lifestyle that he's having run-ins with these kind of people that would rather just, take care of it themselves than call the police.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's idiots, or it's jerks being jerks being jerks to idiots, basically.
Pretty much.
There's no other way to put it. I mean, if you're even the worst part, I think, if you go even deeper into the story, where there isn't any lines to read, or to read between. I mean, can we talk about how the family just kind of lets their son kind of go off? You do you, little one, and come back alive, and they expect nothing. I mean, I'm sure they don't expect nothing to go wrong, but it's like, grab the kid, like, don't let him go out of the house as much as you can. Like, if he sneaks out at 12 o'clock at night and everyone's asleep, then there's nothing you can really do about that.
Right.
But if he's like, if he's scratching, he's going, hey, Mom, Dad, I'll see you guys in a little bit. I have to go out and hang out with some friends. No, grab his arm and throw him down on the couch and say, no, you're staying here for right now.
Right.
So, there's a lot of people that should be, who should be more involved than they really are, it seems like.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally agree. But, I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings. Like I said, I kind of feel bad for the kid, but I also kind of don't.
No, I mean,
there's a
it just happens.
Half chunk of me that just doesn't feel bad.
I don't care. I don't care.
Not at all. You know what I do care about, though?
What do you care about? Do you care about kids?
I do care about kids.
Why do you care? Do you care about this particular kid?
I do.
Because it's weird.
It's awkward.
It's very awkward.
So, and here's what's so awkward. There's a 12-year-old girl, and her name is Joyce. How do you say that? J-C-E? Jace?
Hang on, let me
Jace.
Let me see here.
I think it's Jace.
JC. It's probably JC.
JC. Okay, that's what we're going. So JC can't wait to meet her newborn baby brother, and is old enough.
JC de la Pena.
Or can't wait until her older brother is old enough. Her baby brother is old enough to hear the story of how he was born. Holy crap, that was hard to get out.
I can tell.
Not only is she 12 years old, and she's in the birthing room, but, and here's where it gets awkward, she actually helped deliver her baby brother. Yeah. Kid, I want to pause for a second. Who would let their 12-year-old kid into the delivery room?
I mean, I don't know.
I wouldn't. I mean, waiting room, one thing. Yeah, after the baby's born, bring him into the room. Okay, yeah.
I guess if the kid really wanted to do it and was really dead set on seeing how
but the
babies
mom,
are born,
the mom, when I watched this video, the mom's like, she heard the idea and she's like, no.
I don't want to do that.
No, not at all.
But she changed her mind halfway through somewhere. But I mean, if my kid was like, I really want to know how babies are born, what it all looks like, I'll be like, okay, well, you're gonna need a lot of therapy after tonight.
Right.
But I mean, come on in. We'll show you how it happens. We'll show you the miracle of childbirth.
So this took place in Brandon, Mississippi, and she was. I still can't get over it. So she but she actually got to help deliver the baby. She helped the doctor and they described it push and actually pull the baby out, and then she got to cut the umbilical cord. And she originally just wanted a good vantage point. I don't know if there is a good vantage point for that.
I mean, if you want,
I feel like I would be the kid or the guy in Knocked Up, where he's like, he goes to look and he's like, no, you don't want to see that. You do not want to see that. And then they show her a mirror and she's like, ah! But it's like,
happening to me?
No, but she's like, she wanted a good vantage point. But
I would, if she wanted a good vantage point, I would dress her as Batman and put her on a coffee table somewhere.
Well,
just like.
But her mom, so that's what she wanted. But her mom was lying on a table, and
as you often do,
right, and had been propped up too high, so she couldn't see any of the quote unquote action.
I mean, what? I mean, now we're basically into the nitty gritty of. So instead of just sitting there and watching and analyzing like a normal 12-year-old would, her dad's like, "No, come on here, darling. You're just gonna help me pull the baby out."
Well, no, that wasn't. That was the doctor.
That was a doctor. Okay, I thought it was the
dad. Here's a quote from the girl. She said, "I started crying because I was too short to see anything." And the doctor was like, just go ahead and get some gear on and come help me deliver the baby. Like, who casually just says, oh, you can't see? Oh, well, come here and help me. But her response is what I love. She's like, are you kidding me? Are you being real? Are you serious? So the suggestion also came as a surprise to the mom, who is 34 and now a mother of 2, and she said, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? No.
No,
never in a million years.
You're not supposed to crawl back up there.
But the doctor said, I'm being serious. I'll guide her hands and everything. And so the girl said, so she got up there and was suddenly in the middle of everything. I can't wrap my head around this.
I mean, you got me. Why any 12-year-old want to see their mother look like a cannon is beyond me.
I think that's beyond anybody.
But
there's a but.
There's a but.
I'm sitting on one.
Honestly, I think that the kid wanted this so bad. And I don't see any harm in it. I mean, I guess it'd be one of those things where it become a double standard. If she had 2 boys, or that she had a boy first, and the boy was like, I want to see. I'd be like, I don't know about that, but
it's definitely a double standard. Because if it was a little boy, they'd be like, no.
For me, at the same time, it's like, if the kid is genuinely that interested and wants to understand what's going on, I mean, sure, it's his own mother, and, he's never going to probably look at her the same way ever again.
He's not going to look at her the same way ever again.
Neither will this girl.
No.
She's probably going to look at I have never seen such a wide opened hole. And either way, it's going to be kind of not traumatizing, but a very
Eye-opening?
Yes, a whispering eye-opening experience. And
Did you just say whisper eye-opening?
whispering eye, yes, I did. Anyway, so if it was a son, I'd be like, that's a little different. But at the same time, if you're that interested in it, come here, strap on the gloves and get a schmuck on and a hat on so you don't get any blood on you, and we're pulling your baby brother and or sister right out of your mom. And the doctor was cool, but he's like, yeah, come here.
Yeah,
Come here. Hey, Mayor. We're gonna do this real quick. Come here.
Well, and I love how the mother's like, wait, no, and the doctor's like, no, yes, we're doing this. It's like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Why does this need? Oh, there was another part.
Yeah.
So it did say that the epidural that she was given wasn't working.
Oh no.
Yeah. So she said she was in agony. But amongst all the agony, seeing the look on her daughter's face as she's pulling the baby out, she said it was worth it. I don't know if that I would consider that. I mean, children's joy is one thing, but at the pain of yourself, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I really have nothing. I mean, I wouldn't consider that face that I'm seeing joy. It looks a lot more like
disgust.
No.
Was that the mom or was that the daughter?
Both. It looked like they're both making the same sound. Oh my lord! What is this? What is this wrinkly Elmer Fudd looking thing coming out of you, Mom? And
well, she's got a serious look on her face when she's putting on the gloves because they got a picture of that, and you see her mom's toes, and it's like she's like,
The funniest part about this picture, the picture of the daughter helping birth her little brother, is looking at the doctor, and it's kind of like the scene from Ghost where they're molding the clay. And he's smiling behind her, and she's going, ah! It's like because
that's what she looks like. She's like, ah!
Her face is like a happy like ah, and then it's like at the same time it's going like ah! At the same time it's like ah! As she's pulling this kid out, and the doctor's going like oh ah! This kid's coming out. I'm sorry, but it's a very interesting experience for this little girl. That's for sure. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know if I could do that, but
I
know,
I would be like my brother-in-law. I was talking to a couple of my brother-in-laws when, and I think it was actually I don't remember which one it was. But I could see both of them doing this. But one of them was like, he's like, yeah, I had no interest in what was going on. He's like, I was sitting here going, what does that do? What does that do?
What's this machine do?
I'd be sitting there asking questions at what everything did, more than focused on what the doctor was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what does that do?
You really wouldn't care.
What is this thing? Like, I'd be more intrigued by the gadgets that they're using,
as opposed to the actual birth itself.
Right.
Well, as far as the epidural stuff that she was talking about, and she was like in agony, my mom didn't use any epidural for either my sister or me. She was like, "No, I'm doing it the old-fashioned way."
Well, and you're a big dude.
I came out as a normal-sized baby.
Are you sure?
I came out 7 pounds 21 ounces, I think. No, 7 pounds 12 ounces. 21 ounces would make me over 8 pounds. 7 pounds 12 ounces. So I was a normal-sized baby. You know.
You were a normal-sized baby.
And so I'm saving my sister. So, I mean, yeah, it's I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents about the epidural part. I don't know anything else about other than that.
Well, and birth can be done without epidurals.
Oh yeah,
but then having your daughter,
it's preferred. It's preferred to have.
Well, that and then having your daughter just kind of be the one to yank it out. I feel like that would.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I kind of would want if it was me in that situation, I would want epidural because I wouldn't want my daughter hearing me go ah, 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 the entire time.
I feel like that's the exact noise that was being made.
Probably. I mean,
Hey.
Mama looks like she hits those deep notes when she needs to. So, yeah.
Yeah,
That's just the miracle of childbirth, just constantly stupefying and grossing you out all at the same time every single time.
yeah.
Da, 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 da. All right, so going on from this kid to other kids. All right.
What kind of kids?
Kind of kids. We're talking grade school kids.
Really?
Typically, yeah, between 8. The study was, as far as we're done, we're about 8 to 12-year-olds.
Oh, okay.
The normal amount of studies that were done. But for those of you that already know the craze of fidget spinners,
I don't know, do I?
just a little bit.
For those of you that don't know, I'm playing with a fidget spinner. See?
Very much so.
Well, here, more or less.
As much as there is a craze, there's also been a lot of people going, these really work. Are these really useful for our children? And Live Science did a little bit on the usefulness of fidget spinners. So for those of you that don't know, it's not just every kid that needs a fidget spinner or wants a fidget spinner needs one.
No.
It's supposedly to help kids with ADD, ADHD, and certain kinds of autism, just kind of keep their minds on task. It gives their hands something to do, so that their minds tend to stay a little more clear during classroom activities.
Well, and as somebody with ADHD, I wish I had this when I was in school.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm at work, I'll sit there and I'll just, I'll be sitting at because I work in a range.
Yeah.
And I've got a little desk, or kind of a big desk with a counter on it and all that. And there's points when there's no shooters and I'm sitting there with nothing to do, and I'll just sit here and kind of, instead of shake my leg like I usually do, that's how I've been coping with it, I'll just kind of sit here and just kind of fidget with the fidget spinner, or I'll do the fidget cubes too.
Yeah. They can actually come up a little bit later in this.
Do they?
Yeah. So Mark Rapport, who is a clinical psychologist at the University of Central Florida, thinks that they could potentially actually be a hindrance to kids in grade school. I
feel like it could be a hindrance to kids who don't need them in grade school. That's kind of
that's a double-edged sword. Bear with me here, okay? So his field of study.
I'm bearing with you.
His field of study is with people that have ADHD and how movement helps them focus. It goes on to say later in the article here that Rapport has done, again, he's done studies with kids about 8 to 12 years old with ADHD and found that majority of them that tend to have issues focusing in class,
right,
actually benefit better from motor activities that aren't just hand or like small motor activities or minor memory things like doing word puzzles and stuff like that.
Right.
Like it doesn't keep their attention long enough. It doesn't help them focus things out. He said, let's see here, gross motor movements, meaning movements of the limbs or large parts of the body, performed better than those who sat still during tasks involving memory work, which is a type of memory used for processing incoming information. Exercise has also been proven to be helpful with kids with ADHD. So the whole thing for him is that there, and he admits willingly that there's not a lot of research done into fidget spinners yet.
Right.
They're still so
well,
new.
They just came out.
Exactly. They're still so new. There hasn't been a ton. But as far as the studies he's done and the studies he's seen, and on his part, for the psychologist part, he sees them as more of a hindrance because they're just, or not necessarily a hindrance, but not even helpful. Just kind of like just a thing to do, but not necessarily helping them do better.
Right.
His suggestions are stuff that requires more full body motor skills, like some of you, depending on if you have a more progressive classroom, might have seen kids studying on exercise balls. the big inflatable
Right.
things and using them instead of chairs. And he says, that kind of stuff tends to be more useful for kids in that age range because they can move back and forth, they can slide side to side, and it's the movements because that's just naturally what you do on a ball.
Right.
They're not distracting to the kid, but they're also not distracting to everyone else in the classroom. However, Catherine Ibister, who is a computational media professor at the University of California at Santa Cruz, also believes that cubes would be better suited in classrooms than spinners. Simply for the fact because if you watch most people that do have fidget spinners, it's not just holding them and doing it with one hand. It's spinning them with the other finger and da 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 da. So both your hands are involved at the same time. And her thing is, if you're gonna have a fidget device, let it be smaller where you don't have to focus your attention on where is the thing in my hand, because with the cubes you can just rotate them around, flip them, and you can find out where the thing is without having to look at it.
See, I feel myself less focused with this.
Yeah.
Because it's one simple motion.
Uh-huh.
And I don't get me wrong, if I'm super 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 bored, I'll sit there with both fingers and try to spin it as fast as I can.
Yeah.
But if I'm trying to concentrate on something, I'll just sit there with one hand and just I learned it. So I ordered some, and while mine were on order, my friend let me use his.
Yeah.
And in about 10 minutes, I had the entire thing figured out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because, and I'm pretty much like a fidget master. So I can use it one-handed. But the fidget cube that I have,
yeah,
I'll find myself like trying to find things. So I'll look at it and find what I want. But they also make a lot of noise.
They do. Some of them do.
They make a lot of,
players.
like, my favorite thing is the switch. It's a rocker switch. And all you hear is click, 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 click. It's super loud.
Yeah.
And then there's like a little joystick that's kind of quiet, but that's only fun for a little bit. There's an actual like kind of spin
dial thing. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. It's like you just run
disc.
Yeah. And then there's buttons that make noise. It's just I feel like that one's so noisy, and this one's so like I've been playing with this during the show, and you guys have too for the past couple weeks, and I don't even think it's been picked up. Unless somebody got too close to a microphone.
Yeah, I'm not saying the fact that they're noisy.
Right.
It's because with most things, it's not usually just noises that tend to get people's attention. It's movement, and sight.
See, noises with me, like say we're sitting in a quiet classroom.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have people playing with one of these than one of those fidget cubes, because you'd be sitting there, clack, click.
Well, it's like
click,
the kid. It's like the
click,
kid
click,
in
click, click, click.
in school that always had the pen.
Oh, I do that too. I was doing it earlier. I was sitting here.
So, yeah, that. So I don't mean you're wrong. I can understand that why the fidget cubes wouldn't necessarily be helpful, but it's just interesting to see that everyone's trying to get their hands on these things, and everyone's thinking, oh, these are going to be the new biggest, most helpful thing for these kids, and I'm not saying it won't be. It very well could be the answer that everyone's been looking for, and that could just, help kids with ADHD, ADD, and autism just crack down on stuff. But the other interesting part they put in here was kind of a little bit of a side note, was that the part of all this distraction stuff,
right,
with the fidget spinners and the fidget cubes, the reason a lot of this is coming to light, and a lot of people are using them now, is that kids are seemingly more distracted in the classroom. Over the last few decades, they've become more distracted. They don't stay on task as easily. I'm not even talking about kids with ADD or ADHD.
Well, no, I know.
It's just in general. And a lot of psychologists are sitting there going, "Oh, it's not that the kids don't care. The attention span of kids is about the same. It's always kind of been about the same, year to year, generation to generation. It's the amount of multitasking that kids are being asked to do now."
Right.
And even at a young age, like not even high school where we were, a few years ago, which I can understand multitasking, but it's the asking kids, okay, you have to do this, 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 this. It's like most psychologists are like, no, let the kids have recess, give them a break. You can't put an 8-year-old in class for 7 hours straight.
I feel like you need a recess in high school.
I don't think we did. To be perfectly honest, lunch was long enough.
Yeah.
Because for us, lunch kind of incorporated recess and lunch,
Right.
the time frame. But in like elementary school, like some schools are getting rid of it, and it's like
Why?
Because because it's not going towards studying, and currently in our nation and um in state by state too, the thought is, the more time spent on studying and the more time spent on schoolwork, the smarter our kids get, the smarter they end up being later in life, the more successful.
See, I think that's wrong.
It is, and it's been proven that it's wrong. If you look at places like Greece, who have the most homework, or Japan, they have the most homework out of any place. The reason Japanese kids do so well is not because they have more homework. It's because it's a cultural thing. If you do bad in school, you get punished. If you do bad in school, you are seen as a low life. You're seen as someone who's kind of an outcast.
Right.
That's why the Japanese suicide rate is so high.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's huge compared to other nations. Japanese. Let me look up real quick, but it's insane because these kids
feel like they have to do everything that they can, or well, they have to do everything to the best of their ability, or better than their ability, or else they're going to get in trouble. Is that kind of what?
Yeah, that's the cultural aspect of it. Like here in America, if you don't want to do great in school, that's okay. Well, it's not okay.
Well, some parents it's okay.
Some parents it's okay. Some parents don't care. Yeah. So right here from Newsweek, Japanese college students are pictured during a job hunting rally in Tokyo in February 2013. In 2014, suicide was the leading cause of death for Japanese children aged between 10 and 19. So all the way down to 10-year-olds are committing suicide because, let's see here. A recent study published by Japan's Cabinet Office examined, this is from Newsweek, probably a couple years ago now. I don't know how old this one is yet. From the Japanese Cabinet Office examined the country's more than 18,000 child suicides from 1972 to 2013 and found that 131 of those suicides occurred on September 1st. 32 more suicides than the most frequent date of death. So it's Japan's overall suicide rate is roughly 60% higher than the global average.
Really?
Oh yeah, because in that culture, 2014 alone, 25,000 Japanese people took their lives, roughly 70 a day. So
that's a lot.
That's a ton of people, especially for such a small country.
Oh yeah.
So, obviously that suicide rate is per capita. It's not overall.
Right.
So I'm sure America has more overall. Just our per capita is a lot smaller. But yeah. So you look at a place like that, or you look at Greece, who has the most homework out of, at one point they did at least, the most homework out of any Western culture. Their kids' test scores didn't reflect the amount of studying that they did.
Right.
Because it's like go ask any adult. When you get done with work, you're done with work.
Right.
Or if you need a break during the day and you go get lunch, you use that hour of lunch if you can. Now, if you have a big project you gotta work on, it's understandable. Maybe your boss is like, no, I need you to get back here within a half hour. But when you're done at work, you're done.
Right.
You don't bring work home unless you absolutely have to, or you're still working at home, but you just didn't want to be in the office anymore.
Right.
That's done. But for a lot of these kids, that's more of the issue, is that school doesn't end at school.
No.
It follows you home. You have homework.
Right.
So that's been a big question, the probably about the past 10 years. Ever since we were in middle school, it's like, okay, what is all this homework really doing for our kids?
Right.
Is it helping them succeed? Are they actually smarter? And if you look at standardized test scores, no. Because
I feel like the homework was pointless.
It was. Some of it was. And I know how you feel about standardized tests, and you know how I feel about standardized tests.
Well, I'm not going to go into that. That's not.
Yeah, well, it's not. But if you look at their standardized test scores, they're low.
Right.
Or they continue to not go up, at least. They either stagnate or they drop. And it's not because kids aren't getting enough homework. It's because kids are burnt out.
Well, I was reading something, or well, my grandma rather was reading something, and I was watching something, and this was a while ago.
Yeah.
And there was a study done, and don't ask me where it was from, but there was a study done, and they said that kids who go home and are forced to do their homework the whole time don't do as well versus kids who go and they'll study a little bit, take a break.
Yeah.
Study a little bit, take a break. There's actually a study done that says it's healthier and you retain more if you take a break in between your studying.
Yeah.
So like you've got these college students who just cram. Well, if you cram a little bit, and like what I would do is I'd cram a little bit and watch a short video,
watch a
YouTube video or something, and then once that was done, get back to studying. And watch another video. You kind of then maybe get up, make yourself lunch or dinner, what have you. Or get up and just do something around the house. Get up and walk around. Take your dog for a short little walk around your house or whatnot. But just sitting there and nonstop studying is actually not nearly as great for you as taking little breaks in between maybe different subjects.
Yeah.
Maybe for high school kids, you do your math homework, and then you get up and watch a half-hour TV or whatnot. Then you go back and do do two topics. You could do two.
Yeah.
And it would mean you have less time at the end, but you get those little breaks in between, and you'll retain the information a lot better.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the major issue as far as when you kind of bridge these two with the fidget spinners and the just overall testing and scoring of kids. It's the question of what's really doing the damage here, and it could be that fidget spinners don't end up helping them. It's just something that they do and isn't hurt but doesn't help.
Right.
And that's fine. And then on a case-by-case basis, you can say, okay, well, no, that kid needs to have his fidget spinner taken away because the only thing he does is goes in class. Well,
and I read something about it because I didn't even know what these were at the beginning.
Yeah.
I was sitting there and my phone was blowing up on the news, and they're like, and I don't even remember what they called them. They didn't call them fidget spinners originally. They were calling them something else. And I'm like, what are these things? And I look at it, and and I look at it, I'm like, what's that? That can't be right. You know what they're talking about. And I read the story, and I'm like, oh. And I learned that it's got ball bearings in it. Well, some of them. If you buy the right ones. Like, I bought this glow-in-the-dark one, and instead of having, 4 ball bearings, it's got 1, and then things that just look like ball bearings.
Jeez.
But anyway, so I was like, well, that's cool. And I begun to purchase a few to try to test them out. And in some of the articles I was reading, it was saying that schools there are teachers who are starting to ban them.
Yeah.
And there are schools that are starting to ban them, but they would they were still trying to make it so that the children who needed them got to use them. So like I was in special ed, so there were a lot of things that I got to do that other students didn't. Like if there was a pop quiz, I got longer to take that quiz than anybody else.
Yeah.
Or I would have my test read to, like I'd go into a room with a teacher and they would read me the test, because after so long, and I've tried, even in college, I've tried to go back and like do tests, not online, but like when I'm doing a written test, try to do it on my own. And I get to, and there's some like 50 question tests. I get to about 20 and my mind just really starts to wander. I have to read the same question 3 times. Whereas I just sit there, they read it, and I don't even look at the paper most of the time. I'll just sit there and think about it. So they'll read it, and as they're reading it, I'll absorb the whole question, and then I can answer. And they'll read out the answer, and I'll be like, oh, that one. So for me. So there were a lot of things that I got in school. So I think what their plan is they're going to say, okay, the everyday student body isn't going to be allowed to have these,
Yeah, no,
but
and they shouldn't.
if it pops up in your specialized plan that hey, you have ADHD, does it help to have one?
Hmm.
Then they allow you to have one in the classroom. And then that way you're able to use it, but students aren't. Now I did see that there were teachers that even the kids who were like allowed to use them by the school,
Hmm.
those teachers wouldn't let them use them either.
Yeah,
And I think that's a little bit wrong.
I think it is a little messed up, but at the same time, I understand why the teachers are doing it. Because even though the school says, yeah, you can use it, some teachers, it's kind of like with either sports or even again in school. You can have the very head person say, "This is a good thing to do for these people," or "This is a certain this precaution, this measure is a good thing. We need to keep it this way," and da 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 da. But when you're the person that's working with them all the time, it's a little bit different story. So
Right.
a principal could say, yeah, we can use fidget spinners. We can use fidget cubes. If your kid needs them, let them use them.
Right.
But if a teacher is sitting there going, great, but this kid who has one just is playing with this thing the whole time, and all the kids that are like him who need them um, or are allowed to use them by the school, they're not focusing at all. If that's the case, I understand why individual teachers may ban fidget spinners in their classrooms, because if it ends up being just a distraction and they actually don't focus, then that's one of those things that should and can be taken away.
Well, and that's kind of like, so yearly I had this thing called an IEP. It was an evaluation pretty much of what what specialty things did I get?
Yeah.
Did I use them all? Did the teachers think that they helped? Like if say they were reading a test to me,
Yeah.
and I just sit there and I still got the test wrong,
Mm-hmm.
Or I just didn't care, or I acted like I didn't care, or
Yeah.
I never used it. Like if I never used it and I was doing fine, they would say, okay, well he doesn't need this, so we're gonna take this away.
Yeah.
But we'll leave all these things because they seem to be helping.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at that point, that's when the teachers should say, okay, because they go around and talk to all of your teachers.
Yeah.
That's when they can say, okay, we're going to take this away, this privilege away. You're not going to be able to do this because it doesn't seem to be helping.
Yeah.
It seems you seem more distracted than you are anything else.
Mm-hmm. You're not focusing. Yeah.
Right. And so, but at that token, it would be like, okay. But I don't think individual teachers should go around, well, he's not paying attention, so I'm just going to...
No, I think that's totally okay.
I don't think they should take it upon themselves. I think they should go through the different...
Now it depends. It depends on what level we're talking about here. Because in high school, like what you're talking about, you had the counselors, you had all these people. In elementary school, you may have one counselor for... Like, I know in my elementary school, I think we probably had close to 300 to 400 kids in the elementary school. Because there were 4 classrooms in each grade, all with about 25 students.
Right.
So you go kindergarten or K to 5, that's you're looking at quite a few kids.
Right.
You're looking at a bunch of kids. So,
well, even in middle school and elementary school, these IEPs still took place.
I know, but what I'm saying is that you might be able to have someone that does the overhead part, but if it's only one person doing it versus a whole team of people doing it, I understand why a teacher... I would be okay with the teacher being like, no, you can't have this.
Right.
And obviously some teachers will jump on it a lot faster than others, and that's just personal discrepancy.
Right.
But to say that a teacher who is seeing it day in and day out, because if you do, like, especially with kids, if you do what they did with you in high school, and you just do it like a semesterly or a yearly like review. I don't know how often you had it done.
Yearly,
right? If you did that yearly with a kid, that's too long for kids.
Well, and I mean, I'm not even saying that they have to wait to that. I'm saying that they could have, gone to, because usually, at least in my school,
Yeah.
they had 3 to 4 people working on,
Yeah.
Everything,
Hmm.
and there were kids assigned to each person. That I think it should be the teacher and that special ed advisor that would go, okay, like the teacher goes to them, this isn't really helping. This is more distracting, because most of the time that special ed teacher
Yeah.
is in the classroom.
Hmm.
Like, a lot of people are like, well, you don't know how to write cursive. I know how to sign because I made sure to learn that. But when the rest of my class was learning cursive, I got pulled out in the hall by my special ed teacher to learn math because math was more important than my cursive handwriting.
Yeah.
And so,
That's a whole different topic as far as what should be taught anyway.
but
Yeah.
so, but they felt my math was more important. So the teacher and the special ed instructor worked it out, so then that way they're like, well, this portion, is it's important, but it's not nearly as important
Yeah.
as this math portion. He's going to need that for the rest of his life.
Hmm.
Cursive is kind of a dying art.
It still is.
It still is.
Depending on who you ask. People are like, no, it's so helpful, and no.
Now, I do believe that they at least need to teach kids how to sign their name.
For sure. But
Because I get kids, because as of right now, there is no minimum age in the range. And, which is a whole nother thing I'm not going to get into right now.
yeah.
But I have kids who will come up and their parents will be like, I mean, they technically can't sign it, but their parents will be like, well, sign this.
Hmm.
And they print their name.
Yeah.
And this is even middle schoolers.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know, like,
I mean,
I'm like, that's technically not a signature.
I mean, technically it is, as long as it's their name. It doesn't have to be cursive.
Right.
But I mean, if we want to talk about what should be and shouldn't, I've had that conversation multiple times with. It's always with people who love cursive too. People who love writing in cursive, like, no, cursive needs to be taught. It's art. No, it's not. It's not calligraphy. If I had a pen that was made for calligraphy, I'd say, yeah, that's art. Learn how to do that. That's cool.
Right.
But if you're trying to tell me, like my dad, he's not an engineer technically.
Right.
But he does a lot of engineering stuff. He has never once used his signature or cursive other than his signature in his life.
Right.
His working life. Because with engineers, it's capital letters. Everything's capital letters. It's all caps in standard print.
Right.
Because there's so much little changes that you do with even with lowercase letters, like your I's, your T's, things can get confused. So they force them to use all uppercase lettering so that no one gets confused. And especially with cursive, that's even more of a tricky thing to try to read someone else's cursive.
Oh, right. Because it varies by person.
Exactly.
And then it's kind of a right-handed thing.
Yeah, people who are left-handed suck at cursive.
I'm left-handed and I hate it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do my signature, but that's because I've practiced and practiced and practiced. Like, I've really worked hard on it.
Yeah.
And there'd be a lot of people that were like, yeah, that doesn't look that good. Well,
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No, but yeah, if you want to talk about things that need to be taken out, I'll fight anybody in a verbal conversation, a verbal sparring match about cursive any day of the week.
Well, and like I said, that I didn't even say they needed to bring cursive back. I said that they need to teach kids how to sign.
Yeah.
You know.
Just their signature. Yeah.
Because the signature, as we know it, is still in cursive.
Yeah.
Most of the time, and like when somebody asks you to sign something,
yep,
especially legal documents,
it's usually one cursive.
If you write your name, they're gonna make you do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you fill out a 4473 and you go to it's ask you to sign, if you print, they're gonna make you redo it.
Yeah, but to get back to the topic at hand, yeah, I mean that's really the only thing that life science really talks about as far as fidget spinners. Like, okay, they're here, but don't necessarily buy into the hype that they're all the rage quite yet. There still needs to be testing done, and that's in multiple areas, not just standard. Oh, does this help you focus? Oh, that's good, but like what would it help? What would it change? Things like that go along with everyday learning.
Right.
But that being said, all the hoity-toity stuff that we've said can now be pushed to the wayside because it's time for
Welcome to. My bad, wrong
long
one.
segment. Monday.
Sorry, that was kind of quiet. My tablet, I can't reach the volume on my tablet. I need to reposition it.
Just a little bit.
I'll work on that.
Anyway,
so it is time for our fresh and retro pick of the week.
Woo!
From Netflix. Do you want me to start and then you can?
Yes,
okay.
Please, dear God.
So the two movies we decided to review this week. The first one is an oldie but a goodie. It's called Blank Check. It was a movie I used to love when I was a kid. And it, like, my girlfriend saw it. She's like, Blank Check is on there. I said, it's already in my queue. She's like, okay, cool. Because it was, it's pretty much every kid's dream. So what this movie is about is this kid gets hit. He gets hit by a. Well, actually, let me kind of jump back a little bit. So the movie starts out and there's this. It shows like this robbery.
Yeah.
This bank robbery. And they get away, or they try to get away, and they ended up hiding money.
Yeah.
As they're trying to get away, he hides the money, gets arrested. Well, then he gets out of jail, and he went and fetched the money and gave it to a bank, and he said, "Listen, I'm going to have somebody pick this up for me. His name is this." And so the bank put it in their secret vault, or in their vault in like the manager's office.
Yeah.
And then they jump to this kid, and there's this kid that goes to school, and I'm trying to remember what his name was. I watched this just a little bit ago. Anyway, there's this kid, and as the guy is driving around, he pretty much hits the kid while he's riding his bike. I think he's riding it to school.
Yeah, probably.
And
that's how these things usually start.
And he's like, "What happened?" He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." He's very apologetic. And he's like, "Well, what about my bike?" Because the guy turns around and was kind of being a little bit of a jerk about it. And he's like, "Well, here's this." And he wrote a check out and signed it, but left the amount blank.
Yeah. Hence
the name Blank Check.
Da, 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 da.
And so this kid gets in trouble, and he's not getting his way.
Mm-hmm.
And so he, I'm trying to remember what spawns this idea, but he decides that he is going to fill in this amount with several
zeros and stuff.
Yes.
Many zeros.
I don't want to say 1,000 because I'm pretty sure it was like millions. But
yeah, I was gonna say because I do remember the movie, but from what I remember, he didn't just spend a little bit of money. So I'm thinking there's some millions. The zeros got
here it is.
The triple commas.
So he put in $1 million into the check, and the guy unaware of this, just he has no clue that the kid did this. So the kid goes out and buys a house and buys all these toys and gets a chauffeur. And I mean, this kid's living large.
Yeah.
And I mean, I watched this and I'm like, I want that. They even had like the giant like sumo suits that you get in.
All the while his parents are like, where are they going every day?
And he came up with this cool cover that there was this rich guy. And I'm trying to Macintosh was his name, because as he was doing this, when he was initially setting this up, and he wrote the number the number in the check, he was looking and he looked up, and the computer that he was using was a Mac, and it says Macintosh. So he said that it was a guy named Mr. Macintosh that, never was able to get what he wanted as a kid and didn't have any kids, so he wanted to share his wealth. Was the story that this kid went by. The parents like, okay, so this kid gets a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's the movie itself has quite a few really good actors and actresses in it.
Mhm.
I think the kid you really never see again.
No, he just kind of dropped off.
Yeah. But you've got like Karen Duffy, James Rebhorn. I'm trying to get to one. Uh, Miguel
Miguel.
Miguel Fever. I've seen him in a million things. Um, what has he played in? I know he's played in a lot. Oh, he played in Mulan. Iron Man 3. He played in NCIS Los Angeles.
Let's see.
Rio
Oh,
2.
this guy. Yeah, he's dead now, by the way.
Is he really?
Yeah, he passed away.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. He had, no, you know what?
Desperate Housewives.
To sidetrack,
Thundercats.
he, that guy, Miguel Ferrer, um,
He actually died this year.
Yeah, he was acting in NCIS Los Angeles, and when they came back this past season, I noticed.
Oh, right, he was
I noticed something really, really weird with his voice. He'd always kind of have a gravelly voice, and
Right.
he just kind of talked like that, and that's just how he talks. But it's a little bit different when he was talking this time. So it sounded like more marbly.
Right.
And I'm sitting there going like, what is wrong with it? Is it supposed to be a storyline? Is he sick? You know, is he not good? And then throat cancer, dead. And I'm just like, oh, I called it. My mom and dad are like, shh. No, he's fine. It's just a character thing. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure he's probably not okay. And then mom's like, he died. I'm like, I told you that 6 months ago.
But it had a lot of really famous actors in it.
Yeah, it did.
And the one that I think this is the one that who played the limo driver? I keep wanting to say it was John Candy, but that's not right. No, it wasn't. Who was the limo driver?
I don't know. Let's see.
Truck driver, van driver. Chauffeur at party. Party guest.
Yeah. So the kid. All right, listen. I mean, he had a very short acting career.
Did he really?
Yeah. He from 1988 to 1994. The last major thing he was in was a TV. I mean, probably yeah. He looks like he was a Klingon in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Really?
And then that's it. That and Heaven Help Us, which was a TV series. I don't even know, dude. It's just it's weird. He just dropped off the freaking map. That's weird. That's weird. Anyway,
a lot of child actors like that just decide that it's not for them.
That and that just their parents drive them absolutely insane. But continue with.
I'm trying to figure out who this.
Was it Michael Lerner?
No, Rick Ducommun.
Rick Ducommun.
Oh,
I like Michael Lerner. He's a nice guy. Anyway, so continue with the.
Anyway, so he pretty much befriends this this kid, this limo driver, because he's because they spend so much time together.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so he befriends this kid, and you get through the movie and you're like, okay, this has to end. Yeah, it's Rick Ducommun.
Mm-hmm.
Played Henry. That's the Henry was the guy's name. And so that's why his picture looks weird. No, anyway, so he played the limo driver, and this kid in the limo driver, because the kid's kind of lonely. I mean, he's got really no friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this limo driver starts pretty much being like everything you see him doing is with this limo driver, and he gets kind of lonely, and sees his family having a great time, and so he goes over and he invites his family over.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, he gets found out because at some point, the gentleman whose money he just stole,
Yeah.
found out that he took the money, and the banker, so it was him, the banker, and there was this guy named Juice, who was supposed to pick up the money originally,
Mm-hmm.
and so he's So he was supposed to pick up the money. So when he went there and the money wasn't there, he went back and told his boss, and his boss was like, "What the hell?" So all three of them are trying to. It turns into kind of like a Home Alone type thing. All three of these guys are trying to get the money back, and in the end, you see the guy, and he's like, "Oh, thank you for keeping my house warm." He pretends to be Macintosh, because Macintosh doesn't exist.
No,
he was a made up character, and his parents are like, "When are we gonna meet him?" We're like, "We want to meet him now," and they're starting to not believe him. And that's when the guy walks up and says, "I'm Macintosh. Nice to meet you." Blah 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 blah. And then after the parents leave, he tries to take over. He ends up getting arrested.
Oh dear.
And everything gets repoed. And the kids end up he's kind of happy to have his family back.
Yeah.
But it's a great movie all the way around. I give it a 10. It's a childhood favorite. I give it a 10. It's really good. All the actors and actresses most of them go on to do a lot more.
Yeah.
Except for the main character, the little boy.
Yeah. So.
But other than that, I mean, I loved it.
Okay. Oh boy. So the other pick we had, which is our fresh pick of the week, is what I'm going to call a ripoff, because it's not a redo, it's not a sequel, it's not what
it's a ripoff.
It's not what Ghostbusters did when it was, what was that?
The remake.
Not remake. It wasn't even a remake. A remake means you redo everything. A reboot. It wasn't even a reboot, where they do somewhat. They do somewhat similar things, and like Ghostbusters was a reboot. This thing was a ripoff. I mean,
it was.
It was a complete. Okay, so if anyone out there has ever watched the original so the movie's called Bigger, Fatter, Liar. It's called Bigger, Fatter, Liar, which should sound similar because of the Frankie Muniz, Amanda Bynes movie from the earlier 2000s, Big Fat Liar.
Which was way better.
Which was a ton better. Through rose-colored glasses, through nostalgic lens, it was better.
Well, no,
let me finish.
Okay.
I let you talk. Let me talk.
It's your turn. I was kind of turning myself off.
And you can turn yourself back on. That's okay.
Okay.
Anyway, no, like the Amanda Bynes, Frankie Muniz version, pretty dang good. You go back and watch it again, I'm sure you could probably find some things like, okay, it's it's not as great as I used to think it was. However, it was still a solid B movie. It knew it was a B movie. It had child actors in it. They knew that they weren't trying to do anything insane, right? But this movie, Bigger, Fatter, Liar, it took literally the exact same plot. Kid is a liar all the time, is super lazy, gets away with it until one day he gets caught and he has to make it up. He has to change some stuff around. So in the Frankie Muniz version, it's, hey, I wrote a movie script, or I wrote a paper that turned into a movie script because some jerk stole it. This time around, I wrote a video game and some jerk stole it. Which, it's like, I get it. I understand. It's supposed to be a lookalike. I get that. That's fine. But the way it is carried out is so painfully done and so tactlessly done. It makes you want to claw your eyes out from the very beginning.
Well, and like the head actor is what the lead really bothered me.
Terrible.
He does not know how to act.
No, and I looked this kid up, right? Because I looked it up. He's a young kid, right?
Right.
Frankie Muniz was too, but Frankie Muniz was an actor. This kid, the only kind of showbiz experience he has, he was on the X Factor. That's it. And then Simon Cowell put him with two other guys, and now they're like a boy band. And they're not even a good boy band. They're like a diet. They're like the. What's a good? They're like the off-brand Whole Foods version of Dr. Pepper. Compared, like, like they're that. Like they're not great. They kind of suck. You just kind of take them as is, and that's it. So this kid has no earthly business being an actor other than he looks good. And apparently he did modeling for a little bit. Whoop-de-freaking do, all right? So this kid...
Well, hang on.
Yeah.
And then looking at the cast of the original movie, it had a star-studded cast.
It had quite a few people.
Paul Giamatti.
Yep.
Amanda Bynes.
Yep.
Frankie Muniz. Donald Faison, the guy from Scrubs.
Okay, yeah. Who was the limo driver?
Sandra Oh.
We'll get to him. We'll get to the limo driver. We will get to the limo driver.
Sandra Oh, who played in Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
Then you've got there's another one I saw. Sean O'Brien.
So basically, all these people that you're naming right now, these are either lower A-list, B-list celebrities, right? They're not super famous, and if they are, they're famous for one thing. They're not famous for multiple roles.
Right.
Right. The guy from Scrubs, he's famous because he's DJ from Scrubs.
Right.
Had you said his name, like you just did, I had no idea who he was. You said, "Oh, hey, it's DJ from Scrubs." Or no, not DJ. DJ's a white guy. Crap. But if you said the guy from Scrubs, I understand that. But this cast, no, the bad guy, who, by the way, they had the same last name, Wolf. All right.
That really bothered me.
It annoyed the crap out of me. You know what the thing? Because it went from. So the bad guy's name is Marty Wolf in Big Fat Liar. He sounds like a Hollywood type executive. He sounds like a jerk. The new guy's name, Larry. His name's Larry. I am Larry Wolf. I'm stealing your stuff, right? And the worst part, it's. Do you know the character who played Larry? You know what his last big to-do was?
What?
Rocky Picture Horror Show back in the 1980s. The movie, not the play, the movie. He was the regular guy that got stranded at night. That was his big claim to fame. He has done nothing since. Not that he's done anything, but he hasn't done anything worthwhile since.
Right.
So, okay, so basis the same movie. Okay, guy steals or executive steals something from a kid, makes it into a big thing. Big Fat Liar is now a video game and not a movie.
Well, and Frankie Muniz had already been doing
he had
Malcolm in the Middle. Because that started in 2000. This was in 2002, so he was already pretty big. He did the little show Fillmore.
That's what I mean. He's
The Simpsons. I'm trying to think of some Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Like, he did a whole bunch of little stuff. Then he gained his own show. He's only done 47 things, which surprises me. I thought he did a lot more.
I mean, he's a child actor. Anyway, no. So like I said before, Frankie Muniz already had a little bit of following. This kid, this new lead, has none. Same with his friend. It's not an Amanda Bynes person. It's not someone who's also famous. It's two nobodies. And there's one scene when they're in a hotel, right? And the luggage boy is carrying. I'm sitting there. I paused the movie. I looked at my sister because she was watching with me. Like, how do you think that luggage guy feels? He's a nobody, and the lead is a nobody, and they're both in the exact same movie, and he probably could act circles around the lead at this point in time. I'm sorry. They looked about the same age.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, that being said, fast forward, they get to it's not Los Angeles anymore. It's San Francisco because it's video games. So they go through the whole spiel again. They mess with the guy. They screw with him. They change his face color. They change his hair color. Also, but it's not iconic. It's not goofy. And in between this time, we meet the driver. So in the original Big Fat Liar, the driver is the guy from Scrubs, right?
Right.
Funny guy. Does a good job in Big Fat Liar, right?
Right.
We get a homicidal Russian in Bigger Fatter Liar. He's like, what do you think we should do? Think we should kill him? And they're like, no, what's wrong with you?
I just noticed.
I want him to suffer. I don't want him dead. gosh,
Right.
Ivan, come on.
I just remember that because I started watching it. I couldn't finish it. I couldn't do it.
I don't blame you.
But there was also the but I was thinking of the first limo driver where he hit the kid because when he was in his hometown.
Yeah, you thought that was gonna be the guy,
Right.
and it wasn't.
No.
And I was like, God.
Well, and then they
but-
start off the movie instead of just pranking him right from the beginning. They spend all of his money first.
That's what they did in the original one.
Did they?
Oh yeah.
I knew they went and spent his money.
They did. Yeah.
But they did it towards things to.
They did, but they did spend because I remember there was a whole entire fashion
Well, yeah, they went and bought clothes because they didn't bring clothes with them.
Exactly, but it does follow the same premise. Don't get me wrong, but the fact that it was done, the fact that Bigger Fatter Liar is literally a cookie cutter version of Big Fat Liar. It if they had done this and they had changed stuff up and they didn't have a whole fashion thing. The other thing that killed me in this movie, okay, there were so many continuity errors. I almost died from screaming in my pillow. I'm not kidding you. I'm surprised my voice box still works. The continuity errors in this entire film, every single one, late end to end, is so painful. All right? So I'm going to skip that because I don't want to get too far into that part. So, carrying on through Bigger, Fatter Liar, they do the thing where, they go prank him. They turn his skin different color, all this stuff. All right. In the first one, it was, limo driver drives him around, does whatever he needs to help him with. But Frankie and Amanda, they do it on their own.
Right.
No, not this one. The limo driver gets all the stuff for his kids while they're sitting in this guy's house, who he could come back at any time.
Right.
Right? Very easily. So, what do? In this one, they're searching through his stuff, trying to find, what they can, and they pop this bottle of pills. I'm like, what are these pills? And the girl looks at, the female lead looks at the male lead. He's like, what are those? Are those what I think they are? And he's like, oh yeah. I'm sitting there going, they're boner pills! They gotta be boner pills! It's a PG movie! They said buttocks once in the... I see, I'm trying to keep your show PG.
Right.
They said that once. But they're going, these are boner pills. They have to be boner pills. There's no reason that a PG movie is going to be like, oh yeah, it's those kind of pills. Because they had a prescription on them and everything.
What were they?
They're sleeping pills. And the damn freaking sleeping pills. I'm sitting there going, this guy's going to have a heart on the size of Mount Everest in his pants. Something, or you're not going to see it, obviously. It's a PG film. So he's going to have to be walking around like, oh no. Oh no!
See, but that would have added a good thing.
Hilarious. So they give him sleeping pills, right?
Right.
He's home. He's making a smoothie out of bananas, spinach, broccoli, and lemon juice and milk. Which I'm going the entire time he's blending it up. Continuity error. The broccoli doesn't blend. So guess what? They skip to the side. Broccoli's already blended up. So while this guy is blending the stuff, he goes away. He changes. The kids come back. And the Russian guy. And they put every single pill in this concoction.
And it didn't kill him.
It didn't kill him. I'm sitting there like, do you know how many people died from just using Oxycontin in a day? These people gave him serious sleep medication. It was a prescription bottle. And the guy's not freaking dead. So what he does, he goes to work out. He goes, and he's falling flat in his face. That's when he realized they weren't boner pills. By the way, because when they had him exercising, it wasn't like, oh my. It was fall flat in his face, off the treadmill, slingshots him back through the doors, and he's on the ground, he's laid out, and he's knocked out, right? So I'm sitting there going, oh my, they're not boner pills. She's like, what do you mean? Like, they wouldn't have this guy fall flat on his ding-a-ling if they were boner, because that's just painful to watch.
Right, that's not even funny, it's just painful.
Just snap it in two. Don't want to think about that. But, so, continue forward, which is this. This is where,
Hang on, can I jump back for a second?
What was it?
Because there was one thing that bothered me. So, when the kid got in trouble because he didn't write his paper, he was, the whole forgery thing. Yeah. His dad's like, no car, no phone, no computer. And so it's going around.
Okay, I already know what you're going with this. I know exactly what you're going to say. dad bans her from all this stuff. Tablet, phone, computer, car, this, that, the other. None of the technology in this movie works like technology works. I banned you from the computer. There's still Wi-Fi in the house! You can't lock me on my tablet! The only way you lock someone on the tablet is if you change the password on them.
See, but I did like how he was like, access. Like it did make a good point when they're going around, and that's not what I was getting at.
Oh, okay.
When they're like,
that's another issue entirely.
Well, like so they're going around, and this kid has like state of the art technology and his like tablets and phones and things. So you're going around.
He's a nerd.
Right. So you're going around, and he's like, oh, access denied. Fine. That's great. Okay. The thing that bothered me
was the dad taking the wheels off the car.
Yes.
Yeah. So
the kid runs out and he looks at his car and all 4 wheels are gone and it's just up on jack stands. I said, who does that?
Like what? And more importantly,
no, it wasn't even on blocks. It was on jack stands.
Yeah, they were. That's what I said. They were on jack stands. Yeah.
You said blocks.
I said whatever. Sorry.
But
and you know what? His dad decided to leave a snarky comment on the car on a piece of paper. Going, I said no car. Remember? Dude, you gave him a freaking jalopy to begin with. Just let him use it to go to school.
Well, and then he got all this money, and the car looks like a piece of crap.
Exactly. He has all this. So yeah. So
like in my experience,
Dad pulls a Mean Girls move and says, "I don't like that you did that." Doesn't even give him a realistic punishment. No food, no TV, no for a month.
And then
your son is a genius if he wanted to. Which I'll cover this a little bit later because it'll tie in, but yeah, sorry, go ahead.
2 more things I want to bring up that you've already passed.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry, this movie pisses me off so much.
3 more things because I just thought of one. So the next thing was the fact that when he went to summer school, so they're like you summer school.
Yeah.
Then we somehow time travel to the Wild West. Like it shows a picture of the school. And there's a tumbleweed.
Well, that I understand. That was made for dramatic effect. This is literally hell. I understand. But don't get me wrong. It's bad. It's bad. It's not. It shouldn't be there. But I understand why they did it.
And then here's another thing that really bothers me.
Yeah.
He's in summer school, and the computers they have in that school
are CRT monitors running on a Dell laptop. They were
like they were from the first movie.
1998. It is painful. It's a Gateway Dell, the thing that came in the cow box when you were a kid.
Like my grandma had.
And then he hacks it. He hacks it like it's no big deal. And I'm sitting there going, why couldn't you do that at home where your dad is sitting? Anyway.
No, but yet he has all this technology like tablets and phones. And like they've got like the iPhone and the tablet. And I'm like, why does the school have these crappy... Because don't get me wrong. My school had... Like, the computers weren't great,
but they weren't that CRT
bad.
Monitors.
We had like flat screen monitors at this point. They weren't they weren't like brand new, and there were some computers that had brand new flat screen monitors. And by the time About I left, they had just done an upgrade on 90% of the computers.
Yeah.
And they had all the flat screen monitors. They were all the wide ones. They were really nice. But I'm like, this school is not that poor. It's not that poor that they're...
No, they're in Columbus. They're supposed to be in Columbus. And anyway, so I'm going to touch on something.
And then one more thing.
What?
In the beginning of the movie, when his dad's like, time for school, he's like, I'm practically ready. And he pulls a lever.
To pull his pants
up. It looks so fake.
Well, not even that it looks fake. It's...
I could get my pants on.
That wasn't the part that bothered me about that scene. That wasn't the big problem. The part that bothered me about the scene is, all right, so I understand this kid's supposed to be a millennial 2017, high school kid. But for God's sake, if you're going to have a movie where at one point in time you focus on part of the camera focuses below the waist on a kid, and he's 18, all right? So he could be doing whatever he wanted to in this movie. Right? But if you're going to have a PG movie, don't have the main person, the character, wearing tight briefs or tight boxer briefs. It just looks, have them wear boxers so nothing is shown. So nothing is defined. Because that's creepy to me. Like, I don't know when. I don't know how old he was when the movie was made. He could have been 17. And if that's the case, this movie is now rated NC-17. You should not even see it because you'll be arrested for kiddie porn. All right. That was my issue with that scene.
Well, no, my issue was the fact that, like, okay, so in the Big Fat Liar.
Yeah.
So in the original movie, like, Frankie Muniz is like, use the same excuse. I'm practically up.
Yeah, been up for hours.
Been up for hours. I'm already dressed. And you see him, like,
scrounging around to get pants and a shirt on just to be presentable.
And he still gets it before his dad gets it. And this kid just walks up. He's like, oh, you don't believe me? And pulls a lever. His pants pull up. Pull another lever. His shirt goes on. I'm like, no. This doesn't look cool. It doesn't even look sweet. It just looks like and it's not relatable either. It will never be anything that somebody has.
You set this up last night. Why couldn't you just pull your pants on when your dad was running up the stairs? His dad wasn't even hurrying up the stairs.
Or sleep in your clothes.
It was like, dun, 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 dun. It was like, I'm coming up the stairs. You better be ready. His dad was like, hey, I'm coming up. I'll be there when I get there. It was slow, plodding walks. Okay, I gotta continue, all right?
No, I'm good now.
So
I've got one more for later. But...
Okay, but so they're now we're back in timeline. They're at the scene in Bigger, Fatter Liar where they're messing with him, right? So after the dude gets knocked out, remember in Big Fat Liar, it was I put pool dye in the pool. They put pool dye in the pool so his skin turned blue.
Right.
They put hair dye in his shampoo so his hair turned red.
Right.
Freaking hilarious.
Oh, it was great.
It was hilarious. In the Bigger, Fatter Liar, they knock him out unconscious. And then they shave part of his head, dye his hair, and then put this alabaster skin cream lotion that bleaches his face white. And it's just like, that's not even creative. Like the first one did it creatively.
Well, and it would be fun.
He was so unaware of what was going on that it made it hilarious when he wipes off the mirror. He's like, ah! Because he had no idea. But in this one, they knock him out, and then they just do this. It's like when your buddy gets too freaking drunk and you draw a dick on his head at the party. There's not...
Well, and the funny part about it is, in the original one, they made him do it to himself.
Exactly. It was creative.
They just dumped the dye in the pool, and knowing that he went for a morning swim.
And they waited. That's another thing. All right. So in this one when they get all the information from his phone, right? In the old one, they stole his phone. You know what their excuse for this one was? Oh yeah, I bumped the information over from his phone to my phone when I was in his office. You didn't have time to do that. You stole his phone, and then he said, "Give it back," and you did. And then what made it even worse for me? In the very beginning of this movie, he had an iPhone freaking 4 in his hand. When that scene came where he stole the information, it was an iPhone 6 Plus. Someone on set was like, "Oh crap, we don't have the phone. Here, take my phone. No one knows." I noticed. It was a major boom. So
see, and I was waiting for because when he did that, I thought he had just because he had just gotten a new phone.
Yeah.
And I thought he had gave the guy his phone.
Yeah.
So they could leave.
No.
And the guy was just oblivious to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's kind of creative. And then they're like, no, I bumped it. I'm like, okay.
Just gosh damn.
And it was everything. It wasn't even like they got some. And they're like, who put their credit card on their phone?
Credit card information. You shouldn't. But
well, no,
credit card information, schedules, phone numbers, all the stuff that they had to work harder to get in the first one because it was 2002. So.
Because they didn't even steal his phone, they stole his PDA.
Basically, one of the biggest parts about why this movie is failed, in my opinion, in 2017, is in 2002, doing all this stuff took ingenuity. You had to figure out how to do this. This whole entire movie was solved with technology.
They put more ingenuity in the dude pulling his pants up than they did in the entire movie.
So now we're gonna keep going. We're at the part where he realizes, oh my gosh, my face and my hair, what the heck? And the entire time that this happens, nothing funny happens. Nothing funny happens with his face the way it is. In the old one, Paul Giamatti ends up going to a clown as a clown, dressing him as a clown. And
no, he didn't dress up as a clown.
No, he
they
went to a
sent
party,
him to a party.
And then they thought, oh, that is the clown, which is even funnier because in that movie, in Big Fat Liar, the dad of the kid whose party it was already pissed at Paul Giamatti's character.
Right.
Because he had done something, so he'd already backed up his truck over Paul Giamatti.
Right.
So that was a hilarious part.
Well, and then
all this bad stuff is happening to Wolf in the first one. And it's like, ha 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 ha. He's getting his comeuppance. These are bad things are happening in this one.
And then they had like the most quoted part of the movie when the guy's towing this monster truck because he pisses off this dad.
Yeah, who
because
has a legit monster truck.
Right. And so this dad runs over his fancy blue car.
Yeah.
They
said about a little blue car. They never said anything about picking up a little blue man.
Yeah, that was the tow truck driver who picked up the car and said that phrase. And I swear to God, that was the most quoted phrase from that movie when I was younger.
Oh, for sure. It was hilarious.
It was kind of like the Master of Disguise. There were like 3 phrases from that movie that went around everywhere. If anybody remembered anything from that movie, it was those phrases.
So that happens, right? They got the face thing, and nothing funny happens. I'm not kidding you when I say nothing funny happens in the entirety of the movie after that. All right, so so like we said before, after he turns blue in the first one, gets his car wrecked, has to go to a huge Hollywood
function
unveiling for the new movie to talk about the movie. Have like wine and dine these like elites, right? This guy gets forced to go, and in that scene, he has a completely made up, off the top of his head, bullcrap speech that Frankie Muniz thinks, oh, he's just going to tank, and it's going to be terrible, and it goes over. Everyone in the crowd loves this thing.
Right.
They love the speech. Everyone loves it. So, I'm thinking, that's got to happen in this movie. And so the kids send him to a sailor bar.
Uh-oh.
And he goes in there with his Louis the 15th face and a baseball cap to hide his hair. And he just gives this speech of, I thought this was America where we didn't judge others on just this bullcrap speech because it has nothing to do with the video game he stole.
Right.
Right? And that's another part of the story is that they put effort into the video game development, right?
Right.
They put too much story effort into this video. So it's like, oh, the video games are already up. We got to work on it. Oh, it keeps crashing. I don't know what to do. Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, this was not important. You should have had the video game ready, and it should have been like the first one. Video game was ready. Everything was set to go.
You mean the movie was ready?
Yeah, sorry, the movie was ready. Everything's set to go. It just has to get done.
Right.
So.
Well, and one touch that I liked from the original is they weren't staying in a big fancy hotel. They were staying in like a prop garage.
That's true. That was the fun part.
They were staying, and there was like a fashion show.
Yeah.
Because
they did a little bit of fashion
They did a fashion show, but it was from wardrobes.
Yes.
That's what it was. They didn't buy anything. They're going around spending this dude's money, and in the original, they go into this prop garage and get everything that they need
from a prop garage.
And I mean, like even in that one, they're like at one point they put Paul Giamatti in a plane with an actor.
Yeah.
Who pretends to jump out of this plane.
Yeah, well, that's coming to... Hang on, let's leave that till as we get closer to the end. All right, so... it's coming up in a second here anyway.
Okay.
So I'm just having you hold on for 1 sec. So, gets his butt kicked out of the biker bar, or bar or whatever.
Right.
Some reason has his car towed. Everyone's laughing. No one cares. Then,
really?
Literally, like the sailors are like, I'm like, this is so stupid. So, it comes to the point in the story where it's kind of a double cross, right? So, thank you very much, sir.
Yep.
So what happens is they can't get the game to work. And in this one, the bad guy has another boss above him, who's the overall boss of the company. Says, you better get this done. By the way, he's like a 21-year-old kid.
Right.
You better get this done by tomorrow, 9 a.m.
Well, and part of the storyline was the fact that he was mad because he used to work in a different part of the company with appliances.
He feels like he's been screwed by the company his entire life.
Yeah, because he didn't get promoted, and it was the owner's
grandson
that got promoted.
Got the CEO position. So the guy sits down with our lead character. The bad guy sits down with our lead, and he says, "Listen, if you help me out, I'll help you out. You know, if you help me fix this game and get it working for tomorrow, I will call your dad right now." Because it's the same thing as the first one. I don't care. I don't want any money. I don't want anything like that. I just want you to tell my dad that I was telling the truth, so he doesn't believe I'm always a liar.
Right.
The guy's like, sure, do that. And his friend is sitting there going, no, make sure he calls your dad first. He's like, nah, what kind of good faith is that if I don't put my best foot forward? I'm sitting there going like, you're being stupid! Freaking Muniz would have said no! So he shakes his hand, and so this assumed 16, 17-year-old kid helps these video game designers. Keep in mind that this is not a full-scale functioning Xbox One, PS4, Mac, PC kind of game. It is a mobile game.
Right.
It is literally, it's not literally
it's
Clash of Clans. It is an app. All right? So this is not something that's going to make oodles of money. It's just going to be on the App Store.
Right.
So they spend an entire freaking night trying to figure out how to fix this game. And they do, and it's high fives all around, and the CEO loves the game, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And the guy's like, okay. And the kid's like, okay, so you're going to call my dad. He's like, no. And everyone's going, I saw that coming. I saw that coming. Who saw that coming? I saw that coming. Like there's extras on set going, oh, come on, man. Seriously, this is what I'm working with here. So double crosses them, and the kids are about to leave. And it's like the first one where the secretary comes and helps at the last second, right?
Right.
So they do this whole thing like the first one, where they semi-kidnap him, right? He's on his way to go to a unveiling of the game, of the application. And so our homicidal Russian is driving him. It's not like in the first one where it breaks down and they gotta get a helicopter and then they gotta dive and they gotta do all the stuff and da. The Russian just goes crazy and he drives, he swerves all over the place, and then eventually it looks like he's parked on train tracks. And you're like,
right. And
then you see a train going, and it gets closer and closer, and he's freaking out in the car. I'm gonna die! And it ends up being a bunch of computer monitors outside the car. I about threw my head through the TV! I'm sitting there, my sister even looks at it like, the glare would give it away! The screen color would not be that clear! It would have been muted by the UV protections in the glass! Gosh, dang, man! So, he figures out that it's all a ruse, and he's sitting in a garage somewhere with 10 screens pretending to be outside, and they end up going fuzzy. So, in this time, the kid is in the front seat now, asking him questions, recording him, secretly recording him. Hey, did you do this? And trying to get a confession out of him, right?
Right.
Like they did in the first one.
Right.
He gets out. The kid gets out, and then the guy finds out, okay, well, I can get out now, too. He chases the kid. This child has no idea how to run! Watching him run is like watching chopsticks fling across the table. He does not bend his knees. It's not even it's like, gosh dang, it's not even somewhat athletic. It's just like, I'm a model, my bones don't work the right way, I have to scamper like a rabbit. Somehow, the 60-some-odd-year-old man, not midlife era aged man, catches up.
Yeah, we're talking like full-headed way here.
Just complete. He's grandpa. Grandpa catches up with his 17-year-old grandson, tackles him, and ends up being, okay, well, now they're at the unveiling. It's kind of embarrassing, haha. And the guy goes to present it because he feels like he's won. And the kid has taken the video he took of him confessing everything and gave it, or sent an email, because technology.
Right.
Sent an email to the person in the booth, and they played that instead, and the guy gets embarrassed, and some security guard takes him out of the way. And then the CEO's like, well, you designed this thing to the kid. The kid's like, you designed this thing, so why don't you present it? And the kid's like, okay. And he gives this crappy speech. Like, remember in the first one, how epic it was to watch Marty Wolf declare to who we thought was nobody. Right? He was just going on, yeah, I did. I stole your thing. I took it. I made a big fella. Me. And then Dubs. And,
right.
And it just ends up becoming this epic finish to the story. That wasn't there.
It was like all filmed, and it was like everybody who was at this unveiling saw it, and
it was beautiful, and it was like, oh wow, this is a great ending to this movie. He finally gets caught. It was not at all the same feeling I got. And you know why? Because this movie probably had a $5 budget. We need vague shots of San Francisco, and we can't really step up for a Hollywood set, so we're just going to give you an auditorium filled with extras.
Have you even talked about how when this the other wolf was talking, and he's like, and I would have a great office with a view, and they're like, you have a pretty nice view now, and he presses the button.
Yeah, and it was the Golden Gate Bridge, and it ends up being a brick wall.
Well, and it looks like a crappy Golden Gate Bridge. Like, I thought it was stickers.
Oh, yeah?
And then he presses a button, and then it automatically changes into like a brick wall.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
that's just crappy. That's bad storytelling.
No, that's not, like, if it was stickers, like if you peel the sticker off.
Yeah.
Because this is what it looked like. It didn't look like a real bridge.
Yeah. So, right, getting towards the end of the movie, he gets found out, all this stuff. Kid presents it like he should have, because he and his dad ends up being there, like in the original. By the way, mom's dead, right? There's no mom.
There's no mom.
It's just dad. And the dad, before he leaves for New York, right. So, and I'm sorry, I'm forgetting small plot points along the way. But dad leaves for New York, and that's why the kid can go to San Francisco and get his stuff back, right? Dad's like, I think your mom would be really disappointed in the way you've turned out. I'm sitting there going, you played the dead mom card? What kind of sick prick are you? This kid probably misses his mom more than you miss your wife, and you play the dead mom card? Screw you, pal, and go to New York. No one watching the movie. So there's no mom. So Dad's like, I'm sorry, I didn't believe you. I'm sitting there going, you had every right not to believe him. He's a chronic liar. There's no way that you should have believed him. You did the right thing as a parent.
Right.
You punished a kid that was the strong evidence to say he's lying to me. So. Kid presents, Dad says, I'm sorry, and, it fades to black and then pops back up. Kid is back home. Dad is da-da-da. He's like, apparently the kid's still grounded or something.
Right.
He might not be, I don't know. But his dad's walking up and like, for 2 first-class tickets to San Francisco, do you know how much money that was? And the kid's like, oh, well, you can take, however much it is out of the royalty check I get. And I'm sitting there going, oh, okay, well, it's probably, just for giggles, it's going to be a good amount of money.
Right.
It's going to be a good amount of money, and it's going to definitely pay the 2 tickets back, or 2 tickets back, and be all fine. In movies, there's something called suspension of disbelief, where you just kind of sit there and go, yeah, I can see that happening. In a Marvel movie, you don't question it because it's Marvel, right? You don't question it. In this movie, the royalty check for an iPhone game lands you over $353,000 a week. This kid will make $1 million in 4 months via royalty check for an iPhone app.
I'm pretty sure that Frankie
That
Muniz
does not exist.
I'm pretty sure Frankie Muniz's character didn't even make that much on his movie.
He didn't. I guarantee you he didn't. But gosh dang, I kept sitting there like I could have forgiven it all. I could have forgiven it. It would have been fine. But the fact that you put that much money, what screenwriter was like? I understand it's a movie and the whole idea, even from Big Fat Liar, the whole premise is kind of convoluted.
Right.
I get it. Kid gets his stuff stolen by an executive? No way that happens. Ever. That's never going to happen. But at least in Big Fat Liar, after it happened,
it was funny.
The succeeding events made sense.
And were funny.
What happened followed as good ideas. Sure, if I went back and watched it, I'd probably find something wrong with it.
Right.
I'd usually do with movies. But with this one, after the guy stole it, there was nothing good. Nothing happened afterwards to justify the guy stealing that stuff. In the first one, Big Fat Liar became a blockbuster movie.
Right. The app wasn't even rolled out yet for this kid to...
No! And then you're trying to tell me that a kid who made an iPhone app is making over $1 million a year in royalty checks? Bull crap! There is the only app, honest to God, the only app I can think of on the Play Store or on the iPhone Apple Store that could make that much money at the best times would be Clash of Clans.
Right.
That's the only. And I watch this game is a side-scrolling money collect game.
Right.
Like you press the buttons to move side to side to pick up money. That's one of the games that gets dumped in a week. It's Pokemon Go. You play it for a little bit and you're like, wow, this is actually really freaking boring. I'm going to stop now.
Right.
This whole movie was a roller coaster of emotions, not because it was written well, but because it was so freaking bad that I had no other choice but to pause it at certain points to let my brain catch up with how retarded I felt throughout the movie. I'm sitting there, I was telling my friend about this while I was coming up here, right?
Right.
I'm like, somewhere Frankie Muniz is having phantom pains in his asshole because this movie literally gangbanged him out of existence. Frankie Muniz is sitting there with a hemorrhoid pillow because his hurt so much. Like, gosh dang, man. This movie, I'm sorry, this movie pissed me off.
It was so bad. I said, I couldn't even finish it. Granted, I ran out of time, but Lucas is like, that's okay. You saved yourself.
Gosh dang. Like, if you have the choice of watching this movie,
don't.
I mean, if it's anything else, don't. Take the other thing. If you have the choice of going to this movie or going to a gynecologist as a man, go to the gynecologist. It won't be fun. The forceps are going to go in a place where you don't want them to go into, but it will be better than sitting down and watching Bigger, Fatter, Liar. I am not kidding you.
Well, and this was a movie that came out this year.
Yeah.
You know why you never heard of it? It went straight to Netflix. And it was not a Netflix original.
It wasn't a Netflix original. Let me see here. Because I have got to see. I didn't even look up the Rotten Tomato score for this thing.
You should.
Bigger,
if they're
Fatter,
even.
Liar, Rotten Tomatoes. Let's see. Gosh dang.
Is it not on there?
It is.
What did they give him?
They gave it... There is no tomato meter for this dang movie. The people of this website did not even rate it. It's that freaking bad.
Well, then we're not going to rate it either.
I mean, and then there's the little thing where it's like the audience can rate it. It's 24% liked it. Do you have a soul if you liked this movie? I don't think so. Like, I don't even know. I don't know who wrote Big Fat Liar or who directed Big Fat Liar, but I can only assume that they want to physically rip apart. Like, here, let's look at the Rotten Tomato score for Big Fat Liar, the original one.
Right.
It's 42% rotten. That's okay. I can handle that.
Right.
I can handle that. Because in all honesty, if you look back on it, it probably wasn't that good. Okay, you know what the other big issue is for me?
What?
The other... and by the way, you remember how we were talking about how they barely changed any names?
Right.
In the new one, his name is Kyle Shepard. In the old one, Jason Shepard. The only thing this movie did was change first names. Everything else was kept the exact same.
Hey, what about Amanda Bynes' character?
Her name was Kaylee.
You're right. Please tell me the new one.
By the way, so this movie changed so many stuff that's so stupid. Like in the first one, he was from Michigan. He was from Michigan and went to L.A. The new one, I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and I'm going to San Francisco.
Was he from Michigan? I forgot he was from Michigan.
Yeah, according to Rotten Tomatoes, he was supposed to be from Michigan in the first one. But like, there is nothing on this, like any review site. Common Sense Media gave it a 1 out of 5 stars. No. Sorry. Parents need to know that Bigger, Fatter Liar is a follow-up movie to the successful Big Fat Liar, a 2002 family comedy. This movie is not a sequel, rather it's the same story as the original set in a different cultural arena. Big Fat Liar pitted a teenager against a Hollywood mogul who had stolen his idea. The film pits a teen against a video game executive who steals his idea. There's slapstick action throughout, some falls, a wild car ride, suspense created by an oncoming train, a fight, a car hitting a teen. There were no injuries, and nothing is to be taken seriously. Expect mild cursing and some insults and potty language. One scene takes place in a down and dirty bar with drinking and menacing characters. The teen hero spike the villain's smoothie with a knockout drug. Honesty and trustworthiness are the values promoted. However, most of the film shows the various characters behaving dishonestly and unethically, and it's just, I'm like, yes. Like, there was nothing, like, here's the even worse part about this movie. Like, in the very end of the first one, I feel like, in both of them, they didn't really learn their lesson. At all. Right?
Right.
No lesson was learned. He's still probably going to go out and lie a bunch.
Right.
Especially now that he has money.
Right.
Here's the other dumb thing. Do you remember there being, like, a romantic thing in the first one?
A little bit.
A little bit?
Kind of.
Did they end up kissing at one point?
I think so.
Okay. I couldn't remember. I didn't think there was, but I started thinking about it more. I thought there was. There's that in this movie.
Okay.
There's that in the new one. You know what it is?
What?
It's about 10 seconds long! It is literally them sitting in the hotel room. You gonna go to the prom? No. You gonna go to the homecoming dance? No, I don't think I'm gonna go to the homecoming dance. Oh, yeah, you shouldn't. You really can't dance. Oh, you should talk.
I was just at that part, too.
And I was like... At that point, I didn't remember if there was flirting between Frankie and Amanda in the original one.
Right.
But... that is as far as that romantic side goes.
Really?
And then she gives him like a kind of like an off, like a different look at one point in the movie, like, and it's like, why did you put that in there? There was no reason for this.
Right.
There was no lead up. There was no showing. Like in the first one, it didn't make much sense either. But at least they did it somewhat better. At least it was someone like, oh, we've been spending so much time together. I'm seeing how much of a great guy you are now.
So, I was looking at the credits for who wrote this.
Yes.
And they credited the same guy, or the guy who wrote Big Fat Liar.
Yeah.
But the dude who pretty much took credit for this movie was Ron Oliver. And he can pretty much
He can rot in a pit.
Right.
For all I care. I mean, gosh.
Like, they credit him for the screenplay, or the other guy for the screenplay. This dude even looks dorky.
Does he? What does he
Look
look
at
like?
that. Look at that.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh!
He's a bald
That's
dude.
a man?
He's a bald dude with glasses. And, like...
Oh my gosh. What has he written?
Are You Afraid of the Dark, apparently.
No, I'm afraid
And
of any more
Goosebumps?
movies.
And Goosebumps.
That doesn't surprise me.
I like those ones, though. Those
They
were
were okay, but
I
they
liked
weren't great. I mean, they were better
mostly
than this.
Ghostly 3, which was bad. Because it had a completely different cast. He's done a lot. Harriet the Spy Blog Wars. That wasn't too bad.
But dude, I mean, at this point, this is
literally nothing you've ever heard of. There's only like one or two little tiny films you've heard of.
This is my issue. This is one of those movies that should end a career.
He never did a 1.
He's only done sequels. He's a sequel.
No. Okay, so he's done ones of other things that have never gotten sequels. But like he did mostly Ghostly 3.
He never started a series.
No.
He always is in the middle or the end.
Right.
Of it.
He did mostly Ghostly 3. That was the worst out of all of them.
This is the guy that they call when they want to end a series, but they don't know how to.
Yes.
Like, I'm sitting there watching. But seriously, I'm sitting there watching this movie. I'm like, who is this supposed to be directed at?
Because if you have time, look up Ron Oliver.
Yeah.
On IMDb, he looks like a tool.
But like, I was sitting there going, like, in the first one, it was catered towards families and probably angsty teenagers because it was still the early 2000s. The 90s still had some of it to clutch on us.
Right.
But this one, like the jokes in it, like with the
oh wait, there's more. I didn't scroll down enough.
With the jokes in it, it's like these jokes aren't meant for anyone that's a teenager. Like a teenager would not laugh at these jokes. They would look at him and go, "I have farted, and I have laughed harder at my fart."
Hold on.
What?
You're not going to give him credit for this.
What?
He said that they did... Oh, the series. Okay, got it. They said that he did the Police Academy. I said he did not do those movies.
No.
He did the series.
Oh, God.
Which lasted 2 episodes.
Oh, God. This man kills everything he touches. I'm serious.
Although...
This is insane.
He had Are You Afraid of the Dark? Let me see what movie this one is. Oh, he did a Nancy Drew movie. Oh, it was a TV show, and it only had 1 season, probably 1 episode.
Probably, but seriously, I know some of you are probably sitting there going, "Guys, quit ranting and get to the point." The point is, this movie is terrible. I mean, it is garbage. It is the lowest point of cinematography that you can kind of get. There is nothing I would rather do, or there's nothing else I would do to get away from this movie than I already have. Just don't watch it.
There's Prom Night 2 and 3.
But there's no Prom Night 1.
There's probably is, but he didn't write it.
No, this is just... seriously, this movie is not good.
No, it's
do
horrible.
Not... if you think that you'll enjoy it with your kids,
you won't.
You won't. There's literally no.
Here's what you do.
There's no.
No, let me finish.
Oh, yeah,
here's what you do. You shut off Netflix.
Yeah.
You go to the video store. You rent Big Fat Liar.
Yes.
You go home and watch that with your kids and enjoy it. And you will. It's very funny. It's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
It's got a lot of practical, actually practical jokes in them and things. And it's not far-fetched. Horribly far-fetched.
Yeah, it's far-fetched, but but both these movies are.
Right.
The main
but not
basis.
horribly. I mean,
They're far.
It could happen.
They're both no good. They're both the start part. Like I said before, the starting point is far fetched.
Right.
That an executive or a mogul takes your idea and runs with it. It's the after that happens. Don't get me wrong. Again, flying out to defeat this guy, it's a stretch. But the way that they did in the first one,
it made it seem like they didn't have any money.
It was natural, and it was just like we're scrounging by, we're doing as much as we can, to get this guy back, and they eventually did.
Right.
This new one is all just like, oh my god, oh.
One more thing.
Go ahead, because I got one too.
No, I was gonna say one more thing for you, then we'll.
We gotta wrap it up. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. No. So in the credits, they're doing the. Oh, hey, there were bloopers from this movie, so we obviously had a whole lot of fun doing it, right? No. There's a blooper for after the guy has tackled the kid, right? And they're on the floor after he's tackled him. So the older man is on top of this kid. And I'm sitting there going, I looked at my sister and I'm like, well, he better get used to that position because that's the only way he's going to get movies anymore. There's no other way this kid is getting movies other than that. Like, there's some serious servitude going on in order to get him casted. Just don't watch the movie. Don't support the kid that's in the movie. Seriously, tell him to go back home to wherever the heck he's from and just stay there. Don't go anywhere. Just stay there.
Just stay there.
Just stay there.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's just a bad movie.
Yeah, it was a horrible movie.
As crazy as I got, the simplest part, it's a bad movie.
It's a horrible movie.
It's a horrible movie.
It's worse than bad.
Well, I think that's about all the time we have today, Aaron.
It is.
Just a little bit, and then some.
And then some. And some more. Yep, so that pretty much wraps it up for us. If you like our movie reviews that we do, our Netflix Fresh and Retro Pick of the Week, let us know. If you don't, again, let us know. Either way. If there's anything you would like to tell us, say, or what such, you can always contact us on Facebook.
Those words made no sense.
I know they did, and that was purposefully done. Contact us on Facebook. You can contact me. Lucas probably won't care if you shoot him a message. You can also contact us on the Topic Talks Facebook page. And please interact with some of the posts. Get a conversation going. And when you're listening to the show on Spreaker.com, just hit the like button. Maybe hit the follow button if you feel so inclined.
Hit that like button.
And I really do track that. So other than that, I think other than a really crappy movie, I think we had a pretty good show. What do you think, Lucas?
Oh gosh, let's end it now before I go on more tangents.
Okay, guys, we'll see you here next week, same time. I'm Aaron Klingesmith.
I'm Lucas Sanders.
Signing off.